give them the family meeting welcome. Remember, there's no family meeting without you. And so I welcome you, and I am welcoming my guest, Mrs. Bridget Eleshi. Hi, Madam Bridget. Good morning.
Good morning, Ebu. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for always responding to a call. Thank you for the wonderful thing you do. We see it on social media. Well done. Thank you very much. Admin, can you please spotlight Madam Eleshi? And also I have Mrs. Faith Osiri Wisdom. Mrs. Osiri is joining us from Port Harcourt. Good morning, Favor. Sorry, Favor. I said Faith. Good morning, Favor.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning, Evo. Good morning, everyone. And happy Mother's Day. Continuous celebration.
Yes, continuous celebration.
Good morning, good morning, Ma.
Good morning, my sister. Great to have you here.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, great to have you two here and great to have everybody here. Guys, we have started. I'm going to read the profile and I will expect that you get ready to ask your own question. Like I always say on this platform, our realities are different. So I might be asking questions based on my reality or based on some things that I've seen out there, but it is your own reality and you should ask questions. Please, as a husband in the house that want to ask questions for your wife, feel free to ask a question. And as a mother in the house, you want to ask a question, please feel free to ask your question. So I have with me Bridget Eleshi. She is a certified marriage and family life counselor, master mentor, board member, executive affiliate, plus mental health and addiction counselor at the Institute of Marriage and Family Affairs. She is a John Maxwell coach, speaker, teacher, and trainer. Bridget Eleshi is also a master practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming, family life practitioner, and a certified creative coach and ambassador. Bridget Eleshi teaches the concept of team of families and organizations, as well as self-care, emotional and mental wellness. As a leadership strategist, she has amazing results in helping people find clarity in addition to building individual and family systems that create bliss. Bridget is joyfully married to Tunde Eleshi and makes her home in Lagos, Nigeria, with her 3 blessed and prophetic children. She is the author of several books and magazines, amongst which are the Self-Love Guide for the Complete Family, Father Mentor Fathers, You Must Take the Lead, the 21-Day Complete Women Marriage Challenge, and Bridget Lee Speaking. She loves reading, speaking, creating content, traveling, and meeting people. Ladies and gentlemen, in the chat box, can you please welcome Bridget Eleshi to the platform? Thank you very much, Madam Eleshi, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Can we please welcome Bridget Eleshi in the chat box? Guys, let's welcome Bridget Eleshi. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You're welcome, madam. I have Favor Osiri Wisdom. Favor Osiri Wisdom is an encourager, a mother, and family life coach. She is the co-pastor of the Wisdom Place Church, a vibrant church in the city of Port Harcourt, Nigeria. She is a graduate of marketing with 2 postgraduate diplomas in education and journalism. She is a certified conflict resolution and negotiation expert from the United States Institute for Peace. She is a certified marriage coach and co-founded and coordinates the Wisdom Driven Marriage Academy, which focuses on helping people dreams. Favor 6 years as the associate chaplain of the university and co-instructor of the Total Leadership Training Concept, a program crafted to raise the students as global leaders. Years. She currently heads the Family Life Directorate in her local assembly. Favor and her husband are presenters of a weekly family show called Family Matters on radio for the past 6 years on Nigeria in Info PH 92.0. Favor is the host of a couple getaway program called Love Reboots, which is a special timeout for couples away from the busyness of life. She is the founder of Model Woman Foundation, a Facebook community which focuses on raising women as models in the society, living a value-driven life, become pacesetters in life, business, and work life. Favor recently launched the Model Inner Circle program, a yearly life advancement program. She is the convener of Complete Women Conference, an annual virtual conference for women. She is the author of the following books and resources: How Not to Marry an Idiot, Before You Marry, Stay Prayed Up series, a 31-day prayer card devotional for children, husband, and wives. Dear Mom, Dear Daughter, a mentorship and bonding journal for mothers and daughters. She is excitedly married to Osiri Wisdom, and they are blessed with 3 wise children and many adopted children. Did you notice how they described their children? Did you notice that with Bridget Election too? Favor said 3 wise children. So the name you call them, that is the name they bear. The name, I'm a Christian, so I talk about the good book. The name Adam gave them, that is the same name we are calling them. Adam said goats. Until today, we call them goats. So whatever name you give to your children, that's our things we're going to discuss today. Whatever name you give to your children, that is the same name they will bear and will determine if they will give you rest at the end of it. Thank you very much, Favor, for joining us. Guys, please welcome Favor in the house. Can we welcome Favor? Thank you very much. Yes, we go straight into the business of the day. The chat box is so quiet. What's happening? Guys, are we happy? Oh, we're still in our pajamas. Are we still on the bed? Oh, yeah, you heard that, right? Yeah. Oh, Professor Isere, thank you for joining. How Not to Marry an Idiot. You heard that, right? Yeah, I was just laughing when I read the profile and I saw the name of that book. Thank you very much, everyone. Let's go straight to the business of the day. And I'm going to start with Madam Bridget Teleshi. What does motherhood means to you? What is motherhood and what does it mean to you? Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. Good morning again, everyone. It's a privilege to be here and I do not take it for granted. So for me, how do I put it now? I will have to start with my story into motherhood. But basically, motherhood as a general term is when you enter into that state of being a mother. And a mother is not someone that is only biological. A mother is someone that also adopts or someone that plays the role of nurturing a child, of, being there for the child, giving love and helping the child become a better person, okay? So motherhood, I'll put it this way, because of the world we live in now, is gender specific, okay? It's a woman that is a mother, okay? It's gender specific. And so I have to put it out there. So my journey into motherhood started for me long before I even gave birth to my biological child. I have, myself and my husband, we have 3 children. So as you were reading Favor's profile, I was laughing. When I heard the Complete Woman, I was like, yeah, we need to talk, because I also run the Complete Woman Global. I have the Complete Woman Network, and I've done so many things with the Complete Woman. So I was like, we need to connect. So, and when I heard her wise children, same thing. So for me, it started before I became a biological mother, because I'm the first of 8 children. And with that, it meant I had to be responsible from a young age. You know how African mothers train their children. Interestingly, my mom is a Shakiri. And if you know the Shakiri women very well, culturally, they are very particular about their children and how they bring them up. So that helped. And so I was prepared to be a mom before I even became a biological mother, because of the training I had. And now with my 3 children, it's been a journey. It's been a journey. So it's almost 19 years of being a mom, because my daughter will be 19, April 14th. And I can't, if I start the story as in, it was a shock. You know what you hear, like, oh, I prepared before I got in. And then I got in and saw that it was a totally different thing from being a biological mother. It started right from the hospital, even with the pregnancy and every other thing. So sharing my journey, we won't leave here, but I'll stop at that. But it's been a fulfilling journey. I don't have any regrets, in quotes, to say, oh, I'm a mother. Even before I was called a mother by my children, people had called me mother. I used to go to the orphanage, adopted children that I would go to. I didn't bring them home, but I would go to them, drop gifts, and took my responsibility as a mom, even before I had my own biological children. So today, when people say Mama B, it's not just a title. It's more than a title for me. It's I'm a mother. Indeed, I'm a nurturer. And thank God for what he has done.
Thank you very much for sharing your story, and thank you for also being truthful to say that it wasn't what you expected that you got on the journey. You know, they tell us a lot of things, but when you're on the field, you know that the story is different. She said motherhood is gender specific. A mother, of course, it's a woman that is a mother, and it's a woman that's run and does all that. If you listen to her very well, she has talked about how challenges and sweetness intertwine in that journey of motherhood. Now I want to go to Favor. Favor, what does motherhood mean to you?
Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Madam Bridget. It's like we have a lot of things in common, because I'm actually the first child among 7 children. So, so I'm actually the first child among 7 children. And my motherhood journey, oh Lord, started by me mothering my siblings. So, and these are 5 girls and 2 boys, and I'm the first. So it was quite a lot. And so for me, motherhood, you know, having gone through the journey of being a mother to my siblings and then being a mother myself, honestly, if I'm to wrap it up, laying another block on what you have said, for me, it's mentorship. I see motherhood, because mentorship, and we know, is really motherhood as mentorship, you know, of someone mentoring. So whether it's your biological child or adopted or foster or spiritual, whatever, I see it as modeling and mentorship. That's actually how I see it. And that's why most times in our families, you see that mothers tend to pay a lot of attention or give so much responsibility to the first child, because they believe if this first one will just get it right, the rest we follow. You know, if this first one will just get, and a lot of our mothers then tried to mentor us, even though our parents, our moms then maybe didn't really know that what they were doing was actually mentorship, but it was mentorship. You know, they are going to the market to
Okay, I
follow
think
mentorship.
okay,
Can you
you're
hear
back.
me?
You're
Yeah.
back now.
Yes.
You froze for a moment. You're back.
Oh, okay. So for me, you know, laying foundation or laying another block on what Madam Bridget has said is a female version of the mother, because now we have all kinds of all kinds of expression of motherhood. For me, I see it as mentorship, and that's the mindset. Because if I look at the way my mother raised me, even though it's not altogether beautiful, you know, some of the things I can pick from there, and with what I'm experiencing, because I have a daughter and 2 boys, I would literally say it is mentorship. And that's the position I've taken, even as a pastor. I'm also a pastor's wife. You know, what I do with the ladies in my circle or people in my circle, I think I'll just leave it at that: mentorship. And, you know, with my siblings having to go through all of the fightings and all of the makeups, you know, as a typical African parent, you will understand all of the fightings, all of the makeup, the joys, and some tears also. Yes, it's a whole lot. Yes.
Thank you very much, Favor. That was amazing. And guys, if you are listening, please drop in the chat box, I am with you. Favor, I am with you. Bridget, I am with you. The 2 of them had said something very phenomenal. Favor said, motherhood is mentorship, training. I use the word conditioning, right? Putting you in a certain way, said, this is how you should go. And if you listen to the 2 of them, Bridget is the first of 8 children. Favor is the first of 7 children. Could it just be the reason why they have taken this role and they say, okay, let us be mother of the world, mother of the nation? Because the conditioning has prepared them for the assignment ahead. Right? The conditioning has prepared them for the assignment. No wonder they are finding themselves in that space. But I want to ask the 2 of you will respond to this question. Favor said it that if you grew up in this part of the world, you will understand that it is not totally all beautiful. And that is where I want us to really dwell this morning. So you guys had your upbringing, the mentorship program from your parents, from your mothers, and today you are where you are. Favor, you mentioned that it's not all beautiful, even the upbringing. And I know that for you to be on this journey, you would have gone through a level of therapy to recondition, to reparent yourself. When I was reading the introduction, when I was doing the introduction, I said something about the society. You are from a family, you are raised by a mother. The bad people on the street, those people that are causing other people pain, they're also raised from a family. What is the role? And I want you to talk about this role and educate our audience on the effect, on the impact of the kind of parenting style we are choosing, the effect of it on our children. I wouldn't mind if you are going to be vulnerable to tell us some of those things that you saw in your mother and you said, no, I don't want this. And you have to be intentional in dropping it. I don't know how many of you in the room growing up be like, I don't want to be like my mother. I will never be, in fact, my children will not go and spend holiday with her. Please, let us be vulnerable here. How many of you? I did. I don't want to be like my mom. I said it while growing up, but until I got into the journey and I saw that really that woman I've tried, oh, hey. On Mother's Day, I looked at her picture. I was like, God, this one I would have gone through. You know, that kind of a thing. So can we talk about the impacts, the effect of the kind of parenting style we pick as mothers and the effects on our children. I'll take Mrs. Eleshi first.
Okay, for me, my mom, interestingly, my mom came to my house yesterday. So she's around. She's not here now. She's still in her room. And looking back now, she had me when she was 19. Was quite young. And she had 2 boys after me. And in all, we are 4 girls and 4 boys. And if I look at her now, if I say a scorecard, she didn't do badly. Her mom died early. But one thing I will say is my mom, when you say somebody is kindness, as in kindness personified. Okay? Very kind to a fault. Very hardworking, had businesses. And for me, if I say what I don't like, and now looking back, it was not easy because she was not trained. Yes, she grew up with her grandma and 1 or 2 things here and there. So she was the shouting one and also the beating, the one that would smack you to correct you. Okay, so growing up, yeah, I got to a point because my younger brother was, oh my God, it was something else. And he's a man now with his own children. And when he talks, sometimes I'm like, oh, if I start wishing you what you did to me, you will scream. But then most times, the beating I used to get most times then was because of my brother. He would do things and my mom would like, hey, you're a bad, because when I do my own back, as they say it, she would say, you're a bad senior sister. You are this and that and stuff like that. She used to shout. And then she has this, you know, the way of talking and everything. So I used to tell my children, one, I don't want to be that beating type of mother, because if I truly beat, I'm a very passionate person. Being a passionate, as in passion is one of my values. I'm passionate. And so if I want to handle you, I will passionately handle you. And believe you me, you might not survive it. So I stopped early because first of all, myself and my husband, we agreed. And some of the things we said was, this is how we will do this. And by the time he was saying some things about me, like, okay, deal breakers and stuff like that, it was that anger part. Like, oh, God forbid you do something, you do harm to the children, I will still forgive you. I'm like, God forbid, I won't harm my children. But that put a check in me because I knew within myself that that was a report card. To say, Bridget, you can't go this part. So I had to drop that part of, you know, shouting, especially the beating part. I had to drop it intentionally. So when my children, they were growing up, it was more of my husband. I'm sure if my children will remember maybe once or twice, and they're like, hey, we don't want to get there with mommy. You know, because it will be like, I will almost draw their blood to get to that. So I said, I'm not doing this. I will have conversations. And then I started prayer. When I call my children prophetic, it's not because, oh, it's a fancy word. No. Every one of them, God told me about them, things they will be. Why? Because maybe I got saved. I won't say early. I got saved early, but I took back my life. I'll share my story one day. Took back my life several times and did my own thing until, you know how they will say God arrested me, and that journey is a different story entirely. But with my children, I had to learn. I had to recondition myself. I had to grow. I had to read books. The Praying Mother helped by Stormy O'Matern. It helped. I read a lot of books and I followed people and I saw styles. And today, if I will give my mom her report card, she was a praying mother. She did her best with what she knew then. And looking back now, I won't say, oh, I'm scarred for life. Oh, my mother did this, my mother did. No. And as we grew, she grew with us that till now, I can confide in her, tell her almost anything. And we would talk as if we're sisters, okay? So that's that. Then with my children, I had to know them. And that was where the God factor came in. Like, who is this person? Who is this person? Who is this person? So I have 3 of them, 2 girls and a boy. And the three of them, in terms of their love language, in terms of their, how will I say, the way they think, the way they want to be treated, totally different. So I had to learn that intentionally. And the way you want to discipline is totally different. So if you discipline one of them like you discipline you will waste your time. So I had to learn about each child. And I didn't learn on my own to say, okay, I'm reading books. I also had to ask their maker. God, you know, motherhood in theory and motherhood in practical, they are two different things. Help me to be a mother that you want me to be to these children. So help me. And that was when he started opening them up to me. And today, when I look at them, I am proud to be called their mom. And the report card, like sometimes when people even say, oh, this child did this, I say, my children, because I have a higher standard, like, oh, you guys are not doing well. You can't greet, you can't do this, you can't. And they go out, all the things that we've discussed, they're doing, and people are sending feedback to say, they're so well brought up there. They say, hey, are you sure it's my children? As in, what happened? But you would think they are not listening. They're listening, they're paying attention. So for me, it's been a journey. We are not there yet because you are a parent forever, in quotes, but you are not going to be parenting forever. So I'm almost done with parenting with our kids because believe you me, they are almost adults now, as in the last will be 15 soon. So I have a 19 soon, 17 soon, and so they have 2 years gap in between. But we've done part of our job. We've taught them values. We've taught them how to be kind. We've taught them how to treat people. We've done our best by modeling. Okay, so as a mom, I would do what I want you to do. So you see it and they copy, even kindness, the way I treat others. So they've copied, they've seen, and so it's still a journey. They've done their own bits, and sometimes it's been, I won't say, oh, my children are all good, all pretty, yeah, they've had drama, they've had their stuff, but with all the drama, there was a time I'm like, hey, what did I do? Am I such a terrible mom? And I began to talk to some other mothers, and one of my mentors said something. He said, you have to let them be. You have to let them own their journey. So even if they go off tangent, I went off tangent a couple of times, and my mom prayed me back in. So even if they go off, as long as it's their journey, is their journey. And then God started teaching me that as long as it's not a mistake that will be eternal, then let them be, because he will always accept them. He will always see them and take them to himself. So that for me has been it in a nutshell, but it's been a journey. Honestly, it's been a journey.
Thank you so much, Bridget Aleshi, and thank you for being so vulnerable. I hear you. I hear you loud and clear. And I want our listeners to pay attention to some of those points she's raising. This platform, you know, when we have a group meeting like this and we have people come to talk about their journey, it is for us to know that you are not alone. It is for you to know that, oh, wow, okay, this person, if she can get it right eventually, then I will get it right. And that is part of the things I want you to take in this. She said something very sensitive. She said, children listen, even if you are making noise in the house and you think they are not hearing. They are listening and they are getting what you're telling them. She said something about report cards, and she said she's almost done with her parenting. Yeah, she's going to be a parent forever, at least till she dies and the children grow and become grandmother. But there's a certain age they get to, and that's when you collect your report card. If you're raising a child from the age of 1 to 18, anything you have taught them to that age, then you start collecting them, because they believe, even now, you know, when we were growing up, nothing like by the time you are 18, you're an adult. Our parents are still babysitting us till as much as you allow them to babysit you. But for this generation that we are raising, they are looking forward their 18th birthday to say that, mommy, I'll be off you. Mommy, I would have become an adult. They will let you know. So prepare your mind. And whatever you are doing now, by the time they are 18 and they start living their life, that will be your report card. It will be what you have put in them. And that is what Madam Aleshi said. She also said something very important to say that let the children be. I think she said that was a counsel of her mentor to her. Let the children. A lot of times we want to live our life through these children. And that's where the conflict comes in. The one who made them already created them in a particular way. But because you have gone through something, you don't want to go through that thing. You become overprotective and you want to live your life through them. Let the children be. Even if they go off, they will come back. We have all gone off. We have all made our mistakes and we learn. The truth is we learn from our experiences. That is what prepares us for another level in life. Thank you very much, Madam Eleshi. Let me read what we have in the chat box. Then I have Favor also respond to that question. Professor Esere said, motherhood is a thankless job. No leave, no transfer. 24 hours active service. Yes. BB said, I snap at my girls a lot and don't like it. I unconsciously picked that from my mother. Oh, yes, that's the conditioning. That's the only method you see. And in fact, it's an unconscious thing. You picked it unconsciously, even though you are telling yourself, I don't like it, but unconsciously you have stored it in your unconscious mind, and it will start playing out when you find yourself on the field. Yeah, by the end of this program, we're going to drop a phone number. If you want to talk to anybody, we'll give you access to our counselors. And even if it is one of those guests that you want to speak with. Comfort said, I lost my mom when I was 3. Oh, sorry about that, Comfort. The parenting style of my stepmom was nothing to write home about. Kai, is it shouts, beating and yelling? I lost my self-esteem. Yes, that's part of the things. Those behaviors does to us. Makes you lose your self-esteem in the process. And as a young, I was 10, 11, 13 years old. I promise God to be a better mom. I'm sure you're going to be a better mom. Yeah, and God will give you children that will give you peace. You're already exposing yourself to information to get the knowledge, and this will prepare you. A lot of us didn't even have this opportunity, so I congratulate you. Chinyere said, I was so lucky with my mom. She's the epitome of an unconstitutional lover, never beaten or yelled as a role model of a Christian faith. I will be forever grateful. Wow, we celebrate you. We celebrate you. Nenaya. He said he's forever grateful to God for a mother like her. So I celebrate your mother. Thank you so much. Parenting happened to be my strength because I went through hell to be called a mother. Having gone through this mess, my mind was perfectly fixed to be the best mom. So I daily have conversation with my daughter and son as a mother. Yeah, communication is very good. Yeah, communication. Yes, create that avenue. Let your children feel free to talk to you. So let me go to Favor Siri. Yeah, please, can you respond to the question? Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think we actually have unique stories, I'll say again. For me, my mother was in the village. So my mom is not literate. I was in the village and had to come to the city of Lagos. I'm trying to give this background story to show how it was actually and how I actually, so she was actually from Lagos to help her uncle take care of children. And so while they brought her from the village to stay with her uncle, she really truly wanted to go to school. But her uncle's wife, who also is not literate, said, me, I didn't go to school. This girl cannot go to school. So my mother was there. According to her, the story she told me, because the truth is that I was wondering why my mother was acting the way she was, shouting, easily irritated, but yet very hardworking. And I found out that as she lived with her uncle, the uncle's wife was running a restaurant. So my mother would be locked in a dark room, peeling egusi. My mother told me sometimes she'll be there, peel egusi from morning till night. She will not see the brightness of the day. So there was a young man who was living in the compound, the yard they were living at the time in Lagos. And the man was observing that this girl they brought from the village hardly comes out. And she's always peeling egusi. She's always sad, crying. The auntie, the uncle's wife would shout and shout and shout and told her things like, nobody will ever marry you. Where would they even see you to marry you? That young man who saw her in that compound had pity on her and came to marry her. And that's my dad. And the marriage was, let me help this girl. They got married and they moved out of that yard in Apapa and started their life. So my mother, very hardworking, but yet had a lot of heart on her inside. And she got married to my dad. Every day I keep thanking my dad for bringing her out of that. And she got married to my dad. And with no training, no, with the training where she's coming from, because she was trained from where she's coming from, she was conditioned already. So that's training. She had me. I'm the first. And I became the experimental object.
The guinea pig.
For her. Now, one of the things I would give to my mother is hard work, because her auntie then was into restaurant business. So I grew up, my mother was a food seller, mama put, street mama put. That's how I grew up. You understand? But I noticed shouting, and I think it's a lot with African moms, you know, shouting. Now, I didn't have a good relationship with my mother until I had my first child. I'd always leaned towards my dad until I had my first child. But, you know, all through growing up, my father lost his job for as far back as I can remember. My mom was doing the mama put business. We all went to school on mama put business. We all went to school on mama. So, but I also saw my dad was also present at the mama put joint, washing plate and putting fire to help my mother. So we grew up like that. And honestly, I used to be scared of my mother because of the shouting. So it was when I gave birth to my child and I started doing same, easily irritated. I didn't understand. And one day I just asked my mom, how did you grow up? Because when I became more aware, I said, I just wanted to know. And when she told me this story, and I knew I was strong, following all of us, and we needed to be healed. And I remember then when my mother came to visit me in Lagos, because we used to be in Lagos before we relocated to Port Harcourt. When I had my first child and my mother came, I think that would be the very first time I hugged. But see, my dad, I could hold my dad like this, because this woman just came out from a very damaging experience. Had to say yes to a marriage relation, a proposal, because that was her way of escape. But thank God my dad is a good man. And then coming out from there, never going to school, never, even though she really wanted to go to school, and got married. And then all of a sudden, her husband loses the job. So she starts toiling again, coming out from toiling and entering to another level of toiling with 7 children, having 5 girls. Typical African society, my father is an only child. And the pressure was there. You cannot have 5 girls. We need a son. My dad is an only child. The pressure was more. So my mother was doing everything. Had me, my sister, my third sister, my fourth sister, my fifth sister. The first boy and went to another boy. So, but you see, as I grew and I had that conversation with her, I knew where the thing was coming from. One of the things I did, I told her everything. I took her to go visit that auntie of hers who lived with, because they were still in Lagos at the time. I took her, I said, let's go see this woman. And we're not just going her to show her that you too, you made it. Look at your daughter, Pastor Favor now. Look at your daughter now. No, I told my mother, because ever since then, my mother had never spoken to that auntie of hers Her uncle right now is late. She had never spoken to that woman after she left many years ago. I said, no, let's go. You need closure. I also need closure because for me, I started saying this is the genesis of our problem. Why am I the way I am? And we went to see my auntie. Her children, who my mom took care of, have all grown. My auntie is now old. We held hands together, prayed. At least we dealt with the foundation. And for the first time, the woman looked at my mother and said she was sorry. And said she was sorry. We cried that day. We cried. I cried. And for the first, I saw my mother wail because it was deeply seated. And we went back and I started my journey of, I need help. My husband is from a well-together, put family. My husband loves peace like air. Me, I like fights. Why? I grew up on the streets. Everything for me was by power. Because it was by power they raised me. I had to learn how to calm down. You understand? And my journey started, and that's one of the reasons why I started a mom and daughter ball, because for me, after God helped me, I started seeing how I can also help other mothers bonding, because our first son, oh Lord Jesus, and thank God, like we said, thank God these things happened when they were quite younger. Our first is 16. The girl, my daughter, will be 15 in June, and the last one just turned 11, So for me, how have I been able to do that? Number one is getting to understand these children, because they are different personalities. All three of your children are quite different. To understand, I have a child that is a boss. The last one. That one, for at his age, is instruction. Our first son is an easygoing person. He, like my husband, loves peace like anything. My daughter is my type. You understand? So he's getting to understand these children and affirming every day to them, because I had to verbally tell these children I love them. Now, I didn't experience hugs. One of the things I had to firmly institute in our family is hug. So practically we're huggists in the family. We hug in the morning, hug in the afternoon, more like 3 times a day. I also had to include the God factor. So for me, coming into full-time pastoring, having resigned jobs, I became a full-time mom at home, because when we relocated, the children were quite young. We came into Port Harcourt 2013. We're starting a church ministry. I was at home practically. And at home practically, I was with the children, more with the children. It was in that staying with them, strengths, their challenges, even in the academics, their mannerisms. And I began to do, yes, there was a time I felt, oh, people are going ahead of me. Look at all the potentials I have, blah, blah, blah. But no, I got to understanding that the greatest investment anybody can make is their children. So when I stay at home moms now, I tell them, the work you do is amazing. And my children are, the last one will be getting into boarding school in, in September. The reason why we can send our children to boarding school, it doesn't matter what anybody says about boarding school, because we know the children we have raised. We know the children we have raised. You understand? And with the help of God. So they are quite different. So what I did, I had to catch myself. To tell myself, Favor, you are not a yeller. Now, I remember that my husband used to tell me, smile. My husband would tell me, smile. Do you know I had to practice in the mirror how to smile? Why? I grew up on the street selling. We don't have time to smile. There's no time to laugh. Have you eaten? Do you get? I remember my husband would tell me, I had to even stand by the mirror. Hello. And especially as a pastor's wife now, it took a total overhauling of who I used to be. And I'm grateful to God, because if my children had met that woman, even at they so small, if they had met that woman, would have been disastrous. I tell people that if not for the kind of man I got married to, my marriage would have collapsed. I came with pain. I came with anger. And I didn't know why I was swelling like that. But I'm grateful to God that the children God has given to me, I spent a lot of time. I can tell you, coming into Port Harcourt, the first 6 years, 7 years, it was full time with these children, praying. I'm a person of faith. So I developed what I call stay prayed up, where I've taught the women in my circle this for years, where I set my alarm against the name of different of my 3 children. 9 o'clock is when I pray for Covenant. Our first child is Covenant. I begin to declare over him. I've done that for, he's 16. I started doing that, I think, from when he's 3 years. I do that every day. I do that. So even when my phone is not around me, there's this subconscious, if I don't open my mouth to say something over the kids, like my day is not complete. And this is actually what I have done. I have also scheduled routines, so that I can have rest that they follow. So that's why I believe that if you're here as a mom and you have failed in the past, I've told you my story of how I used to be. Honestly, I used to be a very temperamental person. My husband suffered the brunt of my temperament in the first 2 years of our marriage. He didn't understand. I found it very difficult to take correction. No, because I just felt I'm the boss. I've been the boss for over 7 children. You can't tell me anything. I must make it in life. I've suffered poverty. I cannot suffer again. Do you get? But I'm a better person now, a better mom, and my children are thanking God for that, because I'm the one that stayed more with them. So I'm the one that poured all of the things that poured in. Yes, my husband is involved, but pioneering a ministry takes a lot. So he traveled. But I can tell you, he was that stabilizer in my life that helped me. There are times I cried. I remember when, for those of you who are people of faith here, I went to the book of Galatians chapter 5, looking at the fruit of the Spirit. I was crying and asking God, I need these things. I said, God, I'm a Christian, but I need to be, I said, I need you. I can't raise children angry. And I think this is where I'm going to stop. But this is my story. And I can tell you, I'm a better person. Our children are grown up now. They have God to thank for, as I have also evolved greatly. And today, not only am I a mother to my biological children, as a pastor's wife, I have a lot of people who come to church and they're just looking at pastor's wife, just looking at me. And without that, that I'm sure God knew I was going to toe this path and prepared me for this journey. I think I'm going to stop here. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. Wow. Thank you so much, Favor, for your vulnerability. I appreciate the fact that you help us to see that things have happened to the best of us too. Yeah, the best of us had gone through and we are still going through, right? And this is the essence of a gathering like this. The story will help you know that you are not alone. But how have they done it? What have they done? What has helped them on their journey? That will help you. And I want to appreciate those of us that are being vulnerable in the chat. I can see, I don't want to read this because it's going to take our time, but I can see that a lot of people are opening up and saying stuff. And I want you to know that at this point, you need to pause. When they say gender equality, and all of these things, we're just trying to force ourselves to get some things we might not even deserve. What have you done to yourself? Have you improved? Have you worked on yourself? What are you doing to yourself? Right? I am in the counseling space and have had to do with couples. And I hear people talk. I hear women talk and I'll be like, really, madam? Are you for real? You know, because some of, just like Favor said, the husband had to go through, her husband had to go through, right? Because she came into the marriage with baggage. And that is what a number of us have done. We have come into motherhood with baggages from our past that we need to pause and start looking at it. How has your upbringing affected you? And this is what we stand for. These are part of the things we do in our organization. How has your upbringing? We help you trace it back and help you see how you have formed this pattern, how you have become who you are, and why you are behaving the way you are behaving. If you can see that, then you'll be able to reparent and trace back. And that is what Favor was talking about. You need to also understand your children. These children, they are human beings with brain. The same brain you have is what they have. But if care is not taken, you will change them. You will turn them from being human being to human doing. And that is what some of us went through in our upbringing. Some of us have become human doing. We can't even make decisions. And if you're here, you have a 25-year-old in your house and you're still expecting that child to do what you tell. I am your father, I'm your mother. And no, that child is here for a purpose and has been wired for that. Can we allow our children be who they are? And these are the damages. These are the damages. I'm still going to talk about that. And I just want to say that it is not your fault. Whatever you have gone through, it is not your fault, but it is your responsibility not to stay there. The good book says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. My people, they are God's children. Oh. If you are born again here, they are born again. If you're a good Islamic cleric here, you understand all those things. He said, my people, for lack of knowledge. There is an understanding that we need to have. And this is what we are doing here. This is the exposition we are having here. And I want us to pay attention to this. I want us to know. And I'm now going into our reality, the present world, because motherhood has changed. There's a new rule to parenting. There's a new rule to being a mother. And that is, I know that both Favor and Bridget had said something about that, but I want us to treat it as an aspect in this conversation to say, the motherhood, how has motherhood changed over this present year? Can we continue to be that mother? And we have said a lot of things as regards that, in relation to that, but I want us to emphasize it. I want us to nib it. I want us to talk about it. And so I yield the mic to Bridget Eleshin. How has motherhood changed over the years? And what do you think mothers in this generation should?
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you, Pastor Favor, for your story. As I was listening, I was also looking at my mother's life. I think we have a lot of similarities. And we thank God we are not what we've been through, that we've been able to go through and also help our parents to do better. So for me, I do parenting, but I have a calling as a fatherhood coach, though I'm a woman. And one thing I discovered about parenting, and which works for mothers too, it's 3 classes of parents. So I call it the ABC of parenting. And it's 1, the agreeable mother, then you have the baby mother, and then you have the consummate mother. Consummate mother. So if you check the agreeable mother, because where we're coming from, it's a different ballgame. Thank God for the story that we heard from my sister Favor. And you will see that a lot of our moms, some were educated, but some were not trained, did not know anything about motherhood. So anything goes. And what we are also doing now is, I suffered. So my children must not suffer what I suffered. And so we end up spoiling them by agreeing to whatever. whatever they say. Oh, this is what they want, give it to them. This is what they want. I didn't eat this on time. I didn't have a shoe on time. And so my children must have shoes. And, we just agree to whatever they say. And before you know it, your children are parenting you. They are the ones taking the decisions. They are the ones telling you what to do. Then you have the baby mothers. They just love to be mothers. And we have them all over. Whether social media, they love the title. I'm a mother, I'm a mother. How that child is brought up is not their business. If a dog can parent for them, the dog can parent. If it's the TV that they can just put the child in front, it's okay. I remember then when we used to do child protection and all of that, where a story was shared of a mother that bought a video of traffic and went to play, put it in front of the child, not knowing that it was a porn, whatever. So those baby mamas anybody can parent for them. And they put those things in front, like put video and they are playing, and you never know what those children are watching. You don't even know who is taking care of them. She mentioned something about boarding house. Our 3 children have gone through the boarding house system, despite the drama. I didn't want it because I'm the only one that went to a boarding house in my family. I didn't want it for my children because I know some of the things we saw. But my husband gave his points. And then we also consulted. We believe in mentoring. We believe in speaking to people. We believe in people coming and, contributing to our lives. So all of those helped us. Then finally, the consummate parent, which I will encourage all of us to be, where you learn, where you think. I don't think because I'm a coach, I know better. I've gone for trainings with other coaches just to learn. I've read books. I have learned. So I'm not saying, no, I'm parenting. All the parenting I've done, yes, I'm a person of faith. Yes, I pray. Yes, I go to their maker. But there are things I can do better. Today, our children, first daughter is on Dean's list. And if I look at her story, if we had stayed on conversations, she won't be where she is. We had to take it that every child is different. Every child will do things differently. She's the one in terms of her love language that can serve you in bed. So how has parenting affected me? Yes, my mom did her best. Yes, my dad did his best. Yes, my family tried. But I didn't want a case where I would stay with the old scheme of work. I needed to upgrade. I needed to learn. I needed to do it better. I needed to train my children to be God kind of children that will be global champions in their mind and in everything they do. I needed to help their self-esteem. I needed to help them speak up and not look at themselves less than a human being because one teacher or one person says so. So it was compulsory that myself and my husband were first on the same page on how we wanted our children to be. And we had those discussions before marriage. And in marriage, we continued. Somebody said the volume is low. Please, can you hear me loud and clear?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Maybe it's the person's system. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, it's very loud. Okay. So at the end of the day, I had to learn because I knew what I wanted. I knew the picture of what I wanted. And because I have read and I was big on personal development, that also helped. And so we decided this is the kind of family we want. So our values came in. We agreed, just like my sister Favor said, we have routines, the things that we do, that even if we are not here. When she said about something about hugging, I was laughing. We hug. Everybody knows me for my hug. We hug in my family because hugging, I have his late now. He said something, it's a mentor I followed that was on his mission that hugging reduces crime. Because when you don't hug your children, when you don't hug them, you're telling them a lot of things. So everything you need to do, everything they need to learn, there's no perfect parenting quote, because even God, I always say that. With Adam and Eve, if you give God that report card, he failed. But he did not stop there. There was a plan B. So Parenting and motherhood is a journey. And if you have a partner to do it with that can teach you, that can help you, that yelling part of me, my husband had to. That cursing part of me, because of where I grew up from, had to. Because like I tell people, oh, I can curse for Africa. I grew up in Benin. So when you say wording, we can word. And my husband is one person that if it is not saying the wrong words, this man will throw into heaven, that you will make heaven. I've never heard him curse or say anything bad. Oh, you have bigger. I have never. This is almost 20 years of marriage, and I've known him longer. But then before they say something, I've said a word. Most times it's like, where does this word come out from? So I had to learn. So there's nothing like cursing or insulting our children. Oh, you curse them and say things. No, you don't do that. So it was deliberate, and we fed off each other. We had to learn, and our values stood for us. We crafted it, but when they grew up and saw that, okay, this was our values, it helped. Love for self, love for others, love for God. Integrity, faithfulness, togetherness, service. And we taught them, and they have their personal values. Our family values is different from their personal values, because there might be things that will resonate with them that we don't have. But we've tried our best to make sure that these children are growing up well. In the academics, it's not just about academics for us. We want them to be better, as in kind people, even if nothing I do in this life, let my children just be kind. When she was talking about the fruit of the Spirit, I was laughing like, hey, we need to sit down and ask ourselves. Yes, we are from different parents, as in, we have God as our parents. We have so much in common. Character is big for us in my family. And when we started parenting, we were like, they must have good character. It's not just good academics. So the fruit of the Spirit was the character thing. And today my husband is a character coach and has character academy. Why? Because it was the fruit of the Spirit that he started teaching the children from a young age. I put some of that in my book, Fathers, You Must Take the Lead. He would teach them this, say please, say that, say this and that. And today, when I hear my children speak and see what they do, even for others, I'm like, oh, we're true with parenting. And like I will say, it's not a final work, because your report card will continue showing until they too replicate, until they too keep doing what they're doing. But I will say this, everybody here, please, I beg you, be a consummate parent. Be a consummate mother. Don't think you know it all because, oh, you bear a title of doctor, Mrs., coach, whatever. We're all on this journey together. And each child is different. The way I treat our first daughter is not the way we treat the second, it's not the way we treat the third. And you know how the middle child is. Strong personality and so many things. She has told us before, oh, we don't have a time. We have the time for the first, we have for the last, we don't have a time. And we had to take that as a feedback to parent her differently. And today, we still take correction from them. We still say sorry when we are wrong. Say, oh, my mother never said sorry to me. My father cannot say sorry to you. They will even beat you even when they do wrong. No, that's not in my house. And then we taught them how to call us out. So my son has said before, Daddy, you're doing this. Oh, you're an hypocrite. And I'm like, hey, if I tried this with my dad, I don't think I will survive it. But we taught them to be outspoken. And when he called out that behavior, like, you're saying this, you're doing this, they can call us out. So that tomorrow, when they see somebody doing something wrong, they can keep quiet. So please, parenting is not business as usual. We're upgrading, we're learning. But for some people, please understand your family. That people will say, this is that what will work with your children might not work with other children. Know the children you're with, upgrade to treat them better, and get their buy-in as soon as they're old enough to speak and talk to you, so that when you're teaching them, you're letting them talk to you back, so that you're not just, you know, this scheme of work that will say, just go and pour it out there and it's okay. No, let them give you feedback. So let me stop here so that we can progress with Mom Favor and others.
Wow.
Yes. I am enjoying myself, and I like the direction this conversation is going. If you are with us on this call, please drop in the chat box and let me know that those people are really blowing hot. Let me see in the chat box. And if you have questions, Please be ready to ask your question. Yes, please be ready to drop your questions in the chat box so that we can. Yeah, I said it when we started that our realities are different. As much as Bridget Eleshi and Favor's story looks the same, you will see that their mothers are different and the way they were conditioned were different, even though some things, a lot of things are the same. So our realities are quite different, and I want you to take advantage of this free session. Bridget Eleshi is a coach. Favor is a coach. If you want to book a one-on-one session with them, you know how much you pay. We are giving you for free. Feel free to ask your question, please. Don't hide. Feel free to ask your question. And we've all listened to Bridget Eleshi. She has said a lot of things about how that parenting or motherhood is not business as usual. Not business as usual. And she said something very profound. You need to upgrade to be a better person. I think it was Favor that mentioned how that she tried to work on herself. She prays, she has prayer sessions, she has all that, you know. And we also recommend therapy, because with therapy, you're able to calm down, then even your prayers will be in alignment, which is very important. You can't be praying. You can't keep doing the same thing and having and be expecting a different result. What are the things you're doing? What are the things you need to start doing? And I'm a coach, I'm a therapist, and I'm recommending therapy. Very, very important. What therapy does is just to take you back to where you're coming from and help you to open those can of worms and help you to see, and you get healing. It's not people that have mental problem that go for therapy. Please, that is what they have helped us to believe, but it is not true. It is not true. It will help you to unfold those things that you have buried. I was talking the other time mentioning unconscious. You have stored a lot of things in your unconscious mind. And 95% of who you are, of the things you do, are as a result of those files that you stored in your unconscious mind. Therapy will help you see those things that you store in your unconscious mind and help you bring consciousness, bring awareness to it, so that when you're acting, you're not doing it in autopilot. Because a lot of people, somebody puts in the chat, but I shout on my children and I don't like it. It's because you are in autopilot. Therapy will help you become intentional, that you think before you act. It helps you calm down. And when you do that, you're able to pray directly. A lot of us are just praying and it looks as if things are not working. It's because there's no alignment in your thoughts and in your action. And not until there's an alignment in your thoughts and in your action, you might not even see. Even the good book said it. You're saying something, you're doing something different. Are you confusing Holy Spirit? Right? So Bridget said, it's not business as usual. You need to upgrade yourself. You need to employ the consummate mother parenting, the parenting style, consummate parenting style, motherhood, where you explore different, you talk to people, you have coaches, you learn from all this. And in doing that, you're being vulnerable and people are able to help you from where you are, not the person you're pretending to be. She shared a lot about how they relate with their children at home. Each child is different. You can't use the same method. And in that, when she was talking about the middle child, I know her second child. She can talk. And you see, now I see her do a lot of things on social media. And I wonder, if these people had shut this girl's mouth and tell her, you talk too much, keep quiet, she won't be doing all that she's doing. She's a trailblazer. She's at a young age, she's impacting and touching life, So we need to pay attention to our children, treat them differently, take correction. She mentioned that, take correction from them. And I like that method of calling them out. If you want them to call you out, but of course, you need to create an environment that will help the children to be free to mention and call you out. Apologize. Don't say because you are the daddy or the mommy in the house. Apologize. We make mistakes. We are not demigods. We are human and we make mistakes. So we should be ready to apologize to our children. And that will even help those children when they make mistakes. You call their attention to it. They apologize freely and easily. And when they do that outside, they easily do it. I'm sure you know that our leaders in this country, if you're in this part of the world that I am, Nigeria, you know that a lot of things are happening and you're wondering who raised these people? Which home did they come out from? This is because they have parenting errors. We have a lot of people brought up wrongly. And so you don't want to raise your children that way. So I have a question sent to me here. Admin, do I still have Bridget and Favor? I need to have.
Yes, I'm still here. I'm here.
Okay. So I have a question here. Favor has not responded to the last question.
Yeah.
Parenting now, motherhood in our days. Let's just hear you for like 2 minutes. Then I will ask the question I have here. Is Favor here? Okay, I think her network is acting up. This is Nigeria, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask this question. Madam Election, you will help us to respond to it. The question says, how do I know I am traumatized and I am damaging my children? What are the things I should look out for? Because I feel my parents just disciplined us. Yeah.
Okay. For you, even putting out that question shows that you need a bit of work to be done, because sometimes you might not recognize it. Like when I talked about me and my husband saying, okay, you're not going to say any abusive words, you're not going to curse and call names and stuff like that. That was probably my norm coming. Okay, not that it was everyday thing, but that was part of my upbringing. It wasn't part of my husband's upbringing. So I had to learn. So everybody, we all have a bit of work to do. But when you look at what trauma really is, if you look at, I've seen people that I've even stopped to talk to parents, just see a parent beating a child. The person did something, I'm like, what did this child do that you're beating the child as if the child is a criminal? No matter what the child did, there's a way to discipline. And in Nigeria, we don't discipline really. Though you use the word discipline, we punish. You've done this, we want to kill the child. Imagine a child that got his hand, touch the fire or touch the candle. You said, don't touch it, touches the candle and the hand gets burnt. Instead of us to check if, there's damage, pet the child first, we will still, typical Nigerian parent will first hit that child on the back. I told you not to do this, beat the child. So you know how it is, double jeopardy. So there are things we will see. Trauma to you might not be trauma to another person, okay? For some people that grew up in a home where their parents never shouted at them, where their father's voice was never raised at their mom, if they get married and their husband is passionately talking, this is not even shouting now, passionately. I'm a passionate conversationalist, so sometimes my voice will rise up. I'm not angry at you. I'm just talking. It's a passionate conversation. When I shout, you will know. So if that person is passionately talking and you're like, why are you so aggressive? You're already traumatized by the person's aggression or passionate conversation because you're coming from a place where nobody raised their voice at you. So that's why I say trauma is different for people. Some people, if you've not beaten them in quote, because they were raised with that beating, So even when they are not married, their husband is talking, they must do something to make that man hit them, not because the man is a natural wife beater, but this person is coming from a programming and must hold you to the point where they irritate you, where they, no matter how good and well put together you are, you must malfunction because they are coming from a malfunctioning background. So these are things you look at. So what is not okay? If you feel this is not okay, then look at it. But in a normal setting, if you are a yeller, you yell, you don't really give instruction. If you are punishing instead of correcting in love, if at the end of the day, the children are parenting themselves, you leave them to themselves or leave them more to house helps where your presence is not there, because a lot of parents do present over presence, where they are give presents. Oh, the latest iPhone, the latest this, the latest gadget. I don't do video games in my house. There's no TV in any room in my house. There's no TV in the bedroom. Yes, they used to watch Barney and things, but we didn't train them up like that. We made them to read books. So there are things you will look at, but trauma is personalized for different people. I wouldn't say this is. So when you see all of those things, you will now know that this is not healthy. This is not okay. So there are things I will see. I have never in my life said a child should not eat because the child did something. My mother never did it to us. Say you will not eat today because you did not finish your homework. It has never happened and it will never happen. Food is not something you play with in a child. So even if you refuse food in my house those days, my mom will even beat you. What is wrong with you? Except you've eaten and nothing. So I see parents say, oh, I'm punishing this child and she will not eat. Or somebody living with you and you're punishing them with food. You are wicked, please. That for me is traumatic. A child needs food for nourishment. You will deny the child of food for days on end. That for me will be trauma. Because I didn't grow up seeing that. I didn't grow up with wickedness. I didn't have wicked parents. So that one that you punish, grind pepper, there are some things we do as African. Pick pin and you are there forever. I learned later that if you want to discipline a child, you discipline according to the age. So if they do something, maybe 1 minute for 1 year, 2 minutes for 2 years and things like that. So you're not making the child lost in transition with what have I done and what am I getting. They're not criminals. So much to say about it. But please, if you notice something does not sit well with you, it will become traumatizing. And you need to look at it. So that your parents did not do certain things does not mean you can't learn and upgrade. That's why we keep learning. And it's sad, like I always say it, when you do free things, people will not come. Later, you even send them the video, listen, they will not listen. And when it's time to even pay, I can't say, like Coach, when she talked about mentoring every year, I've been doing mentoring for years and have programs for mentoring. And when they come to you, they want quick action. It's not possible. Sometimes you have to be in a coaching program for years till you know that you are no longer that thing you used to be and you're better. I know how many programs I've gone for. I know the things that I told myself I won't be as a result of, my mom. And one of them was self-care, where as a mother, you will take care of everybody and ignore yourself, where you won't have time to yourself, where you won't even have time to breathe. Then my mom used to say, oh, I would say it in pidgin English. Pikin won't die, mama go fall down, die. You leave everything and, you're not taking care of yourself. So even in trying to take care of the children, they will appreciate you more when they see you love on yourself, take care of yourself, treat yourself with regard and respect, take care of your health, and you will live longer for them. And the way I've mastered taking care of myself, my children are doing better. These days, my daughters will say, oh, go to their room, you'll see scented candles. You'll see them drinking herbal teas and things like that. At what age did I start all of that? I was already married and adult. But then I used to do some things for myself, take myself out. I didn't wait for a man to take me out. Because if I want to eat good food, I can't be waiting for a man. So it's the way you treat yourself that your children will pick up off you. And then the way you also treat others. So the trauma is personalized. I don't want to say general trauma, but there are things we shouldn't do. Punishing children for what they do. Discipline is in love, and you disciple in disciplining them.
Thank you very much, Madam Eleshin. She has said a lot, and I could pick from her, from what she has said, that in this part of the world, we were actually domesticated, we're not disciplined, and that is where the problem is. Why you beat people, you beat children like they are criminals. I've seen mothers beat 2-year-old, 1-year-old as if, wow, you wonder what happened. And you see, this is part of the things we do in our new rules of parenting class. By the end of this session, we're going to put the links there. We have the new rules of parenting class. And here we'll take you through even the therapy and then how to parent differently. I think it's a 10 weeks class, and there's a community where you're attached to coaches that will help you on your journey. I also have another question here. Okay, so Favor, do you have something to say about that question? How do I know I am traumatized and I am damaging my children? What are the things I should look out for?
So I think Madam Bridget has actually said practically everything. Maybe we'll just go to the next question.
Okay.
We should just go to the next question. She has capped it off seriously. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, true. So somebody said, do I need to have a discussion with my children about how I was parented and why I want to do it differently? Favor, you can respond to that.
Okay.
Do I need to have a conversation with my children about how I was parented and why I want to do it differently?
Okay, for me, I had that conversation with our children because we have always involved our children in family meetings. So we have family meetings. Actually, every Friday before my 2 other children went to boarding school, and even till now, they come back, every Friday is family meeting. Family Fun Friday, that's what we call it, FFN, that's what we call it. So because we have our relationship is highly conversational, I told them how I was raised. And it was story. I told them how I was raised. So our children are in the know. They are in the know. This story that I shared here, I shared with them because they quite understand. And so for me, I think apart from telling them the story is not enough. Is you being an example of that transformed person. Is you being an example of that transformed person. Because the truth is that parenting or motherhood is first about you, not your children. It's first about you because these children are like, when they come, they are dependents. So it is the atmosphere, the energy, and all of what you bring in, because one of the things we do as mothers is shape minds and shape culture. So it's the energy and everything that you bring in. It doesn't matter what you tell them. If you like, tell them you have repented. And your actions, your action is otherwise. Do you understand? I remember, like I said, our last child is very vocal. That's the boss in the house. If you say you will not do it and you veer off, he was going to remind you. You said. It's not enough to tell them, oh, this is how I was raised, to generate pity party. Oh, it's not my fault. Oh, this is what it's not my fault what I'm doing. Fine, you tell them so that they have an information. But you, whatever type of trauma that you're going through, you need a therapist. It's as a Christian, for those of you who are Christian, that you are a Christian does not mean that therapy is satanic. I think that's one of the things where I'm a pastor's wife. I have had to refer cases to people because I will pray to destroy the spiritual foundation, but you see, you need help so that the prayer can work. So I think you can share depending on if your children are very understanding and you don't share like, I want to tell you people this. Ours was conversation. I was telling stories. You know, mommy grew up on the streets. I was hawking. I was doing this. So whenever we're driving and they see people hawking, the next thing they'll say, mommy, remember how you used to be like this? Hawking, bringing bananas for us to buy. Mommy, remember you did this? I was like, yes. Do you get? So it is the transformation that has happened in your life by virtue of an event like this. Getting hooked with a therapist, learning on the job every day, that will do more of the talking, that will make your children say, hey, I am proud of the kind of mother I have. This is where my mother started from. This is who she is now. This is where she's coming from. They will appreciate you better. But auntie, if you are not changing, you have never changed. You told them story of what happened in 1920, and you are still manifesting those things. What are you telling them? Is it that for them to pity you or all of that? So for me, that's actually what I think in response to this question. You need to work to ensure, and I want to say this, sometimes we believe that because the children have grown, the children are already conditioned to know that you are like this, let me not cuckoo change. No. You can make a U-turn. Do you understand? It's easier when you're quite young. But you see, by the grace of God and you learning, God has a way of compressing time for you, and you still become an amazing person, not just only to your children, but to yourself and to whatever community that you find yourself. Do you understand? If you open your eyes very well, for every mother that's there, if you open your eyes very well, you will see that it's not only your children that you are mothering. Let me permit my English. It's not only your biological children that you are a mother to. You are actually a mother. So whatever it is you're doing to your kids, you're doing to everybody around you. You're doing to people around you. And so by then, you have hot people in pockets everywhere. So one of the things you want to do, start for your sake, for legacy's sake, and for the sake of the people around you. Yes.
Thank you so much, Favor. Whatever you're going to do, start for yourself. Don't do it because you want to impress or you want to make somebody. Do it for yourself. Very important. Because even if you do it for yourself, you will know that you will feel better. Because your state of mind and everything will change. And you will enjoy peace from your inner mind. It will be, your life will be, you will live at ease. And you will glow. That's just it. Because all those things, they are loads to us. And so we need to let it out. You see, some of those demons we used to pray in church that fall down, that get out. It's part of it. It's part of it. And this is why it is very important. It's part of the demons that is eating us up, and we need to hit it. We need to send it out. We need to cast it out. Casting it out is getting help, getting therapy. Then you will now start praying to bring in new spirits into it. It's just like casting out and refilling it with the right peaceful spirits that will now help you on your journey in life. Thank you very much, Favor and Bridget. I have quite a number of questions here. Somebody said, I'm a first-time mom. My son is a year old. He throws a lot of tantrums. How can I handle tantrums, please? 1 year old throwing tantrum. Madam Eleshi, can you please respond to that briefly?
I don't know what she means by the tantrum, but what I will say is this: children even from the womb, they listen. I pray for pregnant women. It's like something we do just by the wayside. And when I was pregnant, all our 3 children, we did affirmation before it became very popular. The first child will say, oh, this body is healthy. Pregnancy is safe, the baby is healthy, and when it's time for delivery, it shall be naturally quick. And she came 4 hours within. The second, supernaturally quick, and less than how many minutes in getting to the hospital I had her. So from the womb, I started speaking to the children. So when you say tantrums, I don't understand what the child is doing, but I will say this: when you start having children, they are conscious. When you talk to them, I don't do baby talk like Baba, goo, 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 and all of those things. even if you do it, I talk to my children as if I'm talking to my mates to an extent. Not that I expect them to think like me or reason like me, but I talk in the language they will pick and say things the way I want them to know. So if a child is doing something, let's use breasts, for example. I had issues with breastfeeding with our first child, and it was traumatic. Then I had to, cousin of mine brought the breast pump for me to extract, because then I couldn't just help myself. Okay? So at the end of the day, I had to learn that when she started having, is it colic and everything, I had to also learn from experienced mothers, okay, this is how you carry the child, this is how you rock the child, this is how you do what you have to do to the child. And then in terms of reading to the child, I started reading to our first daughter at a very young age. So there were things I did as at that time that later when you see our children, even at their age, you're like, oh, this child is independent. This child is that. My first daughter especially was, I don't know how to say it. She was like a community, how will I say it? A child that community brought up, including my colleagues, because if I'm driving, nobody can carry her. So my colleagues then will have to take the steering. I will hold her because she will cry from when we pick her up till we get home. And she was one person that really gave me drama. Right now, she's one of the most peaceful. But growing up, it got to a point I was like, there was a day I called my husband, please come and pick this child so I don't do something nasty. She had to call a neighbor to come take care of her. And then we had some children around her then that she became a tomboy because of those, because they were all boys and they'll come, we were looking for Gracie. It got to a point I'm like, oh, she's sleeping. And that was a lie. Sometimes, oh, she's not available now because I didn't want her to see that I was lying. Oh, she's not available. She's doing something. So what you teach the child is important. So if it's throwing tantrum, on what basis? You need to gently tell the child, maybe if it's a toy you give and the child does something, oh, you don't do it this way. And you model, because now they're looking at you more than what you're saying. They might not understand what you're saying. You model it. Because sometimes when they say they throw tantrums, it's what they're saying. What they see, they will do. So any drama he's seeing, he will act up. And then even the cartoons you put. So for a 1-year-old to be trained tantrums, I need to drill down to what that issue is, because I can't just give the advice to say, what do I do? But what I would say is model what you want the child to see, if it's peace, and then start a routine very early. Start confession, start what you want the child to see. Start talking to the child. There were things we taught our children. So till now, they still tell themselves, oh, I am this, I am that. So you start teaching. And if you notice they have a temperament, please, everybody has temperament, but they have that kind of temperament that is a bit aggressive, then check the people around them. If he picks something, you hit him, he too will become somebody that hits others. If he says something, you shout at him, he will also try that to get attention. If you do something and you don't answer and he starts crying, and that's when you answer, you are teaching him to keep crying to get your attention. So you need to regulate their behavior to know what the child is doing. So if you are the one aggravating that child to get to that point, then you are not helping him or her. So you need to know that sometimes those things are attention driven, but you have taught that child that method or whatever the child is using without you knowing. So model, because they can't really talk, but what you model. So when they see you shouting, they see you aggressive, when you keep hitting their hand. I was trying to use that breast thing. When a child is breastfeeding and bites you with the gum, some women will actually smack the child hard and the child will cry. So the best thing to do is to, this thing you're doing is not nice. And take the child off the breast. I don't think you are hungry. You want something to play with, then you give toy or a tita or something that the child will play with. But if you smack the child, what you are teaching that child is to be aggressive. You get pain, give more pain. So we need to regulate our behavior around children because they are seeing what you're doing more than they are hearing what you're saying. So that's what I would say, because I don't really know the type of tantrum, so that I don't give out of context advice.
Yeah, thank you very much. You had even said a lot, and I believe the person that asked the question is listening. Jennifer, I can see repeatedly you have talked about how that you need therapy, please call the number that has been dropped in the chat box and let's pick it up from there. Mrs. Eleshi have said, if child is throwing tantrum has learned, this child is just 1 year old. This child had seen something and the child is living by the conditioning. So I'm sure you've learned a lot from that. Favor, I need you to respond to this question, please. Is Favor still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so this question is in the chat box, talking about the father and the mother in the house. The woman is doing everything to make herself better, going through therapy and becoming better, but the man isn't. How did the wife affect the man in the house? This is a concern to everybody now. I wrote on my Instagram page on International Women's Day that the future is women. Because go to the church, you see the women, go to any training. If we're going to count the number, I don't even think we have any man on this call. If we are going to go for any personal development thing, you see women. And it seems as if the men are not being moved. They just want to follow their old method. So this person is concerned, which is also the concern of quite a number of women. Women are going through therapy, learning, gaining knowledge, but the men are at the back. How do the wife affect the man? Amara, it is not only in your own case, it's like that in a number of homes. Yes, how do we respond to that? Thank you.
Okay, so I think most men respond when it has to do with the issue of money, how to make money. That's why if you see in a lot of business classes and all of that, or the cryptocurrency, you see the men there. Somehow when it has to do with family life, some people do not find it, some men do not find it very easy to connect with family. That's why sometimes you see inter-house sports for schools, you have more of the moms there. PTA meetings, you have more of the moms there. Assignments, helping the children do assignments, you see more of the moms there. And it's because there's this conditioning, again, from a lot of homes where mentorship starts from day one for the girl child, while the boy is outside playing.
Yeah.
The mother is cooking in the kitchen, the daughter is around bringing things, the boy is one side, either shooting gun or something. And so you come in terms of cleaning, clean the plate. You see a girl and a boy will eat, the girl will pack the plate and the boy is sitting down there. So these are things that have happened over the years, and a generation of men have been raised to think that when it has to do with family or even making the marriage work is the woman's responsibility. Their own is just to look for money, provide money, and that, not knowing that money is not the only thing that you provide as a man. In fact, as a person of faith, when it comes to the issue of family life, it is the man that God holds responsible.
Very true.
If we look at it, it is the man that God holds responsible. We are called to help. We're not called to come and carry all the work and do. We are helpers. But because it is like this, a lot of women have stepped in. So probably that's why you see someone who is a single mother will even do better than a man who is a single father. Because these women are learning and growing, to close the gap and be both father and mother at the same time. So I will tell someone who is here, who probably your husband is not involved. You are not the only person. There are lots of women. Some of us are privileged, to have been married to men who are full-time fathers and full-time businessmen and full-time pastors. I also have seen pastors who are about ministry traveling around the world and they do not have time. I worked in a private Christian university for 6 years. And I can tell you, because of the private Christian, one of the top private Christian universities in Nigeria, because of the private Christian universities, a lot of pastors' children came. They were the bad ones. They were the ones giving issues and causing all manner of problems because their parents were never available, especially the fathers. The father was never available. But be that as it may, it is changing because a crop of men are now rising. My husband runs what is called the Man Thing for men. He have carried it, the Man Thing Summit, just strictly for men. Mentorship for men. It's been, I've seen women write to us, emails, testimonies. My husband is doing this because my husband started by saying that a man is a servant. And I know when my husband started teaching this, moving from place, it's not a church thing. It's both for men, whether no matter your faith and all of that. Some persons were like, it sounded, how can I be a servant? But like I said, it's beginning to change. If your husband is not, if you are not in the place where your husband is supportive, number one, the first thing to do is not to fight. You'll be scattering what you are building. It's not to fight. It's not to fight. See how you can, with wisdom, pull him into the things that you're doing. My husband is very busy. And can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you.
Okay. So my husband is a very busy person. Our son is in boarding school. You know what I did to call, because we have to call. I had to arrange and tell him, sir, so time. I will call Lou from wherever. I said, call by this, because I know his schedule is tight. So there's time for him to call our son, call our daughter. I have to structure it for him to help him. You understand? So that he doesn't forget. So the first thing is not for you to fight. Two, carry him along. Carry him along. I remember those days when I was still very highly opinionated. My husband would tell me, read this book. I'll tell him, I don't like reading. I like watching film. One of the things he would read a book. And then in our gist moment, he will start sharing insight from what he has read. And I'll be captivated. You see me, I go and carry that book and read. You need patience. You need patience because depending on the background of the man, you yourself, you had some form of mentorship. If you are an African female child here, you had some form of mentorship somehow growing up. You understand? So you need to be patient and carry him along. Update him on the things going on. That's why you see pre-marriage counseling class. It's most of the ladies that attend the pre-marriage counseling class, except maybe the church say you will not wear them. You see the man show. And after that time, that is the last counseling he will go for. Do you get? So, but like I said, it's gradually changing. We have more men who are rising up. So it's not going to be easy to have a generation of men like that are involved. Right now, we have fathers who attend inter-house sports. We have fathers who attend. It's just like it has not reached some certain quarters. So it's changing. It may be slow, but gradually you need to carry them along. If he has time, or something like it's possibly he can create time, go with him. Tell him how it will be amazing for both of you to show up at the children's whatever function or whatever it is that they are doing. Because the truth is that if you are not in the life of your children today, you will not be in their memory tomorrow. That's the truth. Mm-hmm. If you are not in their lives today, you won't be in their, they won't remember you. And that's why if you see on Mother's Day, you see a lot of people, hey, my mother. But Father's Day is very quiet. It's not anybody's fault. Do you get what I'm saying? Because people are saying the greatest influence, if it's not grandmother, it is. How many times have you heard grandfather? Mm-hmm. If it's not grandmother, do you get? So it's a generational thing that has happened. But like I said, it's shifting. You have to be patient. You have to carry them along. You have to share with them how important it is. And you be an example. And when it comes to a point where he does not want to be involved, madam, try as much as you can do. See what you can do. Look for male figures. Because this is actually what I also tell women who are divorced or who are single mothers. You also look for very good example of male figures that can actually impact, especially if you have boys, impact your children, greatly. I know a woman who she's too big on family life, but her husband is a businessman. He will tell her, see, I don't have time. Do everything, I bring the money. So she was, you must come, fight. I told her, say, madam, you cannot win this war. Leave him alone. Collect the money. He travels from here, is in Japan, tomorrow is here. I told her, this is where you have found yourself. Oh yeah, all the courses that you need to do, everything that you need to do to help your children at the stage they are. Do it. When he's around, prep him. Oh, daddy, we miss you. As daddy comes, create an enabling environment for him. They will say, he does not like to gist. See, there's no problem. The little one you can do, but try as much as you can, because some women are actually in a situation like this where their husband do not want to be involved. Madam, you cannot get it by fight. Don't even fight. Leave it. Do the bit that you're doing. Posterity will bless you for it. And that's why sometimes you see when children have grown, they tilt towards their mother, not because their mother turned their hearts against their father, it's because the father was not even involved. The father was not even involved at all. You understand? But please, never you blackmail their father before.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. You don't want to set them up against their father. Say, you see now, he's not around. You see now, he's never involved. No. So do the bit that you can and do all of that. There was a time my husband was the one holding it. My husband would read all the book, do all the research. It took me a while to come around when it is in terms of studying. You know, we worked in a private Christian university, and so my husband is very academic in nature. You know, I worked there too, but it took me a while to start understanding the place of studying. So every book, my husband read books to tell me read book. I say, is it by reading book? I'm not reading anything. And because I was not reading, my mannerisms were different until I started reading. The very first time he asked me to go and read Outliers by what's this guy that wrote Outliers again? Oh, somebody help me with the name. But Outliers is a fantastic book that I think every mother, every parent should read. We just came into the city of Port Harcourt. We're looking for a school for our children. But because we had the things we wanted to see in a school, not fine building, we needed to have a relationship with whatever school these children will go to. We want to talk with the proprietors. Because we had read that book together, we were on the same page. When we got into the school, we knew what we were looking. Okay, somebody, I'm trying to remember the name of the author, Outliers.
Malcolm Gladwell.
Malcolm Gladwell, thank you so much. Malcolm Gladwell, amazing book. That book shaped our perspective on the type of school the children will go to. By the grace of God, our first son is on a full 6-year scholarship in a school. He's in SS3. And I can tell you it's because of the way foundationally we prepared the children, because we're on one page. If you do not have this, if this is not your reality, I want to encourage you, do not give up. Continue to invest in your children, invest in yourself. You know why I'm saying this? There are women, it's not your case, there are women who are single moms and they're pulling it through. There are women who are single moms, they do not have a resident father figure in the home to help them do this. They're pulling it off. And I pray for you that God will also help you while you are doing everything that you can to make the environment a wonderful, a conducive environment, both for your spouse and both for the children. And trust God that everything that you do, he will turn around and come and peep. What is this good work? What is this amazing sweetness that I feel around? Let me even come and, what is going on? You people should share with me now, and all of that. That's the approach I think a woman who has found herself in this type of situation, you know, should do. And if you also have younger girls, you have ladies in your circle who are not married, you need to tell them that marriage will impact your parenting a great deal. That's the truth. The person you marry is critical. For me, as a person of faith, I say after your salvation, the next most important decision is who you marry. It determines a lot of things. For some of us, there are spouses are involved. Life is easy. It's easy. You can easily agree on things. It's not fighting. Cannot go to this week, cannot go to this. It has never happened. Do you understand? The values are there from the beginning of the marriage. We have our values as individuals. As the children started going, we crafted the values, printed the values, is in the sitting room downstairs, framed with the children's picture. Every morning for our lives, we recite those values. And as they grow, we adapt and bring them in. They've been reciting these values for like how many years of life? As they go to their husband's house, they have something they are carrying and they are going to adapt. And it's because I have a spouse that is involved. But if you do not have it, it doesn't mean your children will not turn out well. There are lots of women, mothers, women who have single-handedly raised children, who the children are thriving and doing well. And I pray for you so that that will be your case, just in case you are one of those women whose spouse has not come around yet. That's what I would say.
Powerful, powerful, powerful. Thank you so much, Favor. You have responded to that question in a beautiful way. I appreciate you and I celebrate you. Thank you so much, Bridget Eleshi. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for staying to this time. I just want to add to, Favor said something about upbringing, the way we bring up our male children and the way we bring up our female children. See, ladies, it's part of the problems we are going through in our marriages, because boys are not raised to be in charge of the home. All they just bring them up to do is to pay bills. That's the only thing in their head. They are not even brought up to be emotional. You do it, and if you do it, I want you to stop. Your male child is crying. Say, are you a girl? Why are you crying like a girl? These are the things we do unconsciously to shut them up. Every child is a child, when you male or female, but we are the ones conditioning them and boxing them up into different roles. And we refuse to train the boy child. They are not emotional, they don't see. And I have also come to understand that these guys, they don't really like it. They need help.
Yeah.
They need help, but that's conditioning. When Yoruba says a dry fish is difficult to bend.
You break it.
You will break it. That's the problem. And they don't want to be broken. They don't want to be vulnerable. These guys are hurting. They really wish they can do it better. So they are doing all they are doing with the level of information they have. And that is why I am going to buttress on that fact that Favor said, see, it's not by fight. Carry them along. And when you are doing it, women, we also have our method. You want to force it down their throats. When you mention it, just know that they have heard. They might not respond. They might not give you that reaction you're looking forward to, but they will think about it. Right? So please, for as many women, when Favor was talking about single parents and all, I don't want to say I single-handedly raised my child, because I have been divorced. I've been out of my marriage for 11 years. And I have an amazing daughter. Now my ex will send message to me to say thank you. To say thank you. So when they say the fruit of your labor, I think I'm eating it now. Because my daughter is 18, she has given me so much peace. And what did I do? I got a father figure in a family friend. Our best man and best lady, best man and best lady on wedding day. Fortunately, they got married, so we are still friends. So my best man sees my daughter as his own daughter. So he helped to bring in some of those missing daddy thing into her. So
I think you're frozen.
You're frozen.
Yeah, network.
Experiencing changes, things are changing, but it is slow. Mrs. Eleshi also have trained father or something group where, and a lot of people are also seeing this. These guys, they are hurting, they don't like it, but they don't know how to. Can I say the male ego is affecting, but that's the fact is.
I think
it is that same conditioning. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, if I must say something, because for me, it's a calling. I have 2 books for fathers. And then I deal with men. I have groups for men, and I've had those groups for years. And like I tell people, I can't even bring some people into my men's group because they are vulnerable. And these are top leaders out there that we've been in the group for over 10 years. So if there's no value being added, they won't be there. Okay, so sometimes I tease them like, is it that you guys are feeling sorry for me that you must support me that you are there? But I think they've gotten value by way of association. And one thing I will say is this. I know my sister Favor mentioned patience. Sometimes these men don't know who taught them. Like she said, we teach people. I was PTA chairperson for a school for 5 years. That's a long time. And it's always been women being PTA. I said, no, I want to leave a man there. And before I left, right now, the current PTA chairperson is a man. And he's one of my tribe's members. The man that would have been, that he passed on, was the vice chairperson and would have been passed on then. But it was a consistent effort to make sure that fathers were involved. Same thing with involving our boy child or children. So we start the narrative, and sadly, it's us women as well, letting the men go scot-free with, even if you are divorced, still co-parent. It can be a bad husband, but not a bad father. Except you know he's bad all the way. When she said blackmailing, I do a lot of stuff, including helping people, you know, like talk to their children and co. And some women will say, oh, say is this. I say, it can't be this. You don't like what he has done. You don't like this. You don't like that. But you don't do this. But because we don't have a system in Nigeria that will say, let's even take the child from the mother's care and put in a neutral place. And then let's see both parents, treat them and see what the child will say. So a lot of women are blackmailing the men. So what am I saying? Because this is a passion. I just kept quiet. And as she was taking, I was shouting. Even the men that know how to do it well, if you don't get them involved still, it's like a free fall. You want to be superwoman, they will let you be.
Yeah.
Except they're intentional. So sometimes we keep picking up, and we say, it's okay. My husband is a totally different person. Like when I talk, sometimes I say, I don't want to be talking too much. Like, hey, he's not a perfect man. And he doesn't even want me to say he's this and that, because so that people don't have a bad picture of him. Like he's too perfect and so he can't make mistakes. We all have our dramas. But what am I saying? These are men that are ready to learn and grow. I've been in a place where I was the one learning, my husband was not learning. I've been in that situation. But how did I do it? If you put it down his neck, even the people you are learning from, he will begin to dislike them without knowing. Every time you come, you are calling their name, this person, that person. So you are comparing that person without you knowing with him. So that person is not perfect. Are you in that person's house? Are you that person's wife? It becomes a drama that you don't even know they are going through. So you need to get to the point. Prayer is needed, but the work is with yourself first. Do your bits, leave the rest to God and get him involved. When it comes to assignments, believe you me, there are things I don't do. Even in my house, like I tell people, people can be dying here. There are things I just feel, it is this man's zone. But if every time he's doing it, I jump to do it, he will leave it for me. But if I don't jump, he sees it the first day, the second day, and I'm saying, oh, guy, it's your duty. He will rise up to it. So as women, we are not helping ourselves. Whether you are a single mom or a divorced mom, please understand this. Everything has its role. So let's not get to the point where we are alpha, omega, we're everything in our child's life. If the father is alive, start telling him, and we agree, because children can be manipulative, even when you are together. They'll tell mommy this, they'll tell daddy this, and hit your heads together. Because you are not together on the same page. So you need to get on the same page. If my children come and they say something, we want to do this. Before I'll say, oh, it's okay. I just told them not to. Because we're not on the same page. And when we notice that, I'll say, okay, give me a minute. Let me think about it. While I'm thinking, I'm reaching out. This child said XYZ. Is it okay? And we say, oh, it's okay. Let them go. And we're on the same page. So you can't divide us in our decision. If my husband has said it's like this, it's like that, until we can convince him with something. If I've said it's like this, and we've agreed it's like that. So you can still be with your husband and you are still fighting over children. So we need to help ourselves. And this husband matter thing, I can say the things I have done with my husband, but it also depends on the man's temperament and a man that is willing to learn. But every time you come, you even call your pastor, they will beef your pastor. You think your pastor is perfect, they will beef, because every time, before every conversation, what you are telling them and what they are hearing is that person is better than them. They don't have the same upbringing, they don't have the same, and they don't live with you. I don't live with any man. I can praise them. I'm not their wife. They are not my husband. Not the same temperament, not the same nurturing. You now come, your mates are, he doesn't have a mate. The Bible says those that compare themselves to themselves are not wise. So I can't compare. So if you want to help a man, model it, be patient with him, and then keep living the life. And prayer will also work. And then the prayer is, if it's in a TV, a station that he will see, let that person learn that thing. If it's in a book, let it come to him. If it's in a friend, so the right friends as well that will model to him. And if it's in a mentor, please let him start accepting mentors. And it's the way you talk about people, because if you don't talk well, they will become intimidated. They don't want to learn from the people. They don't want to listen. See what Mom Favor said. Our husband will read, and in their good moments, share those things, and then she will pick it up and go. That's how you change someone. Not by saying you must do this by fire, but it won't work. It won't work.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Madam Eleshin. Thank you so much, Favor. Nice having you on the call. And thank you for everyone that stayed till this time. I truly appreciate it so much. It just shows that you are passionate about having a good life, having a good journey in your motherhood journey, and I appreciate it. All the questions you are asking, we won't be able to respond to them because it is past 11. We're supposed to stop or end at 11, but we have avenues through which you can get responses to these questions. And at this time, I want to call on Tolani. Tolani, are you here? Yes, please thank these people. Thank this amazing people for me. Is Tolani in the house? Yeah, Tolani, please can you, I want you to talk to us. Tell us about the new rules of parenting class and probably the family systems engineering certification course. Thank you. I yield the mic to you now.
Thank you so much to the two amazing speakers that we had. Even I am learning, as in I learned so much from the two speakers. Thank you so much, Mama B. Thank you so much, Mrs. Favor. God bless you. And thank you, Mrs. Ebon. Yeah, the new rules of parenting is a 4-week training for parents. And of course, we've learned in here that it's important that parents, first of all, heal from all of their own trauma and all of that. So for week 1, it's 4 weeks. We're going to be helping you heal from the traumatic experience that you had, growing up as a child. Week 2, we believe that your child cannot grow bigger than you, a child, as the parent. It's just like you being an aquarium and your child is a shark, meaning you must be a ocean for you to be able to house that shark. And so we're helping you grow your mind, because your child cannot grow bigger than the limiting beliefs that you have. Imagine your child coming to say, oh, mommy, I want to be a scientist and I want to be the one to find cure to cancer. And you will say, my friend, will you go back there and just go and study and be a medical doctor? It's fine. Don't do too much, So it's important that would help you heal. And that's what we're going to be doing in the class. We're also going to help you expand your mind so that you can accept all the abilities that your child have, and then you can support them. And then we're also going to be helping you draft your child user's manual. When you understand who your child is, right? So you understand the different personalities, you know how to deal with them in different situations, how to communicate with them, who they are, what the likely careers that they would function in will be, and to also create a working document that whoever will be working with your child, you can say, this is who my child is. Because oftentimes I see parents say, no, the teacher knows the child better. No one should understand your child better than you do, because you are the parent. You should understand who the child is and say, this is who my child is. I've drafted a document for you to understand who this child is. And of course, to understand that you are not the owner of the child. God is the owner of that child. And then have you inquired of that person who gave you the child to say, who is this child? And of course, after class, we have a community where we had you to, and then you can always ask questions. And from time to time, you can always have a one-on-one session with Mr. Praise himself. If it's required that you have a session with him. And of course, we're always here to answer. I can see all the questions if people were dropping in the chat room. Admin, I don't know if you can let me drop the link to the community. We have a community right now where you can join. and then you can ask all the questions that you want to ask, and then we're able to answer. But I would recommend that every parent in here is important that you join the new rules of parenting. The next batch is coming up in June, and we've made it very easy. Payment options are available. Admin has dropped that. And for people who want to be able to work with families, I keep telling people that oftentimes people are damaged from the home. I've seen a parent who say, I'm reacting to my children like this because of how their father is treating me. So if you want to be a coach, you don't like how people are parenting their children, you don't like how families live, and you want to be a coach, then you can sign up for the Family Systems Engineering Certification. It gives you that broad knowledge that you're able to understand where people are coming from, helping them heal, and also able to help singles get it right, and marriage, being a wholesome one, so that when the marriage is working, when the individuals in the marriage are okay and they are awesome, then that is when they can also raise awesome children. And I'm sure that the admin would also drop the link. Yes, someone is saying, please drop the link to the community so that we can join. Admin, please help me drop the link to the community. And thank you so much once again, Mrs. Ebon, and thank you, Mrs. Bridget Aleshi, and thank you, Mrs. Favor. I really love today's session. I'm so glad that I joined in early enough. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Motolani, and you've heard it all. That class that she has announced will be taken by Mr. Praise for Wowe. He's the one that will handle the therapy session and all the training. Then you'll be able to answer your questions. We have shot our time. I'm so sorry for taking 21 minutes of your time, but I believe you also know that it's been an amazing one. So I want to read in the chat box, how did it go? Did you get value for your time? I want to see in the chat box, comments, feedback in the chat box while we round up for today. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, the link is there. Please check. You can scroll up. The link to the community has been dropped. The link to the signing up for the Family Systems Engineering Certification. The link to New Rules of Parenting is also there. And you can call the number that is attached to that post. You can call the number and the admin will respond to you. Admin, there is a comment. It says that it is saying, I guess the WhatsApp link, it's saying the admin needs to allow in the community. Please check that. Please check that. Thank you so much. Time spent usefully, very interesting. Wow. I am so blessed today, and I'm glad we're able to help people and bring to the awareness of people the things a lot of people are struggling with. Please, as women, you need to work on yourself. Forget about any other person. Work on yourself. By the time you work on yourself and you have value to bring to the room, nobody will struggle or argue with you. People will be recommending you. Ukonjo Oweala is a very good example. There's nowhere that woman wants to enter now that she will not enter. If she had not worked on herself, if she had not improved on herself, people will not be recommending her for the position. Nobody remembers she's a woman. Now we even say she's a woman, a man in woman flesh. But she is a woman, and she's doing well for herself, for her family, and for Nigeria. Thank you very much, everyone. I believe that you have learned one thing or the other. Thank you so much, Favor. Favor, I wish we could have the therapy session here, but we have shoot our time. We have overshoot our time. Thank you so much, Favor. We have so much to do together, and we're going to continue this relationship. Thank you so much, Madam Eleshin. Please, Madam Favor and Bridget Eleshi, can you drop your IG handle or your phone number or something that people can reach out to you through? Just drop it so that people can. Thank you so much, everyone.